In 2011, a magnitude 9 earthquake occurred off the east coast of Japan. To this day, it's the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in the country, and it's the fourth most powerful earthquake recorded in the world. This earthquake caused massive amounts of damage on its own, but it also resulted in a tsunami that devastated the Tohoku region of Japan. After the events subsided, the National Police Agency of Japan determined that the natural disaster had caused nearly 16,000 deaths, and over 2,500 people remain missing. This happened 8 years ago. Nearly a decade on, Japan is still feeling the effects of this disaster, and while the country itself may move on, there are people who've lost loved ones, and they'll never be able to fully recover. Those affected will always remember this time in their lives. For the rest of the world, it's a distant memory that many of us have the luxury of forgetting. It's just a thing that happens, you know. You can't be expected to remember everything all the time. Christ, can you imagine how depressing that would be? Ugh. This is one of the reasons we set up monuments and memorials. Objects and memento mori are vital to our recollection of past events and how we relate to them. Much of our personal identity depends on the memories that we have, but when we die, our identity is dependent on the people and things that we leave behind. That said, the more time that passes between us and the events that occur, the harder it is to hold their context in our heads and remember that individuals were lost rather than a percentage of the population. 9.03 magnitude is a gentle game about the aftermath of this terrible disaster. It's kind of a virtual memorial of sorts. It takes place on Baker Beach in San Francisco, where a number of personal effects lost in the devastation of the Tohoku tsunami washed up. As you find each of these objects, you're treated to a small tidbit of a possible memory, something that might have been lost in time if the object hadn't come ashore. There's a serene sort of sadness about this game. With each belonging you find, the tide on the beach shifts and pulls back to sea. It's an eerie reminder of the first visual sign of an impending tsunami. It's really impressive how the game holds a consistent, calming tone, despite this clear sign of danger. The music tells you that the danger has long since passed. The soft blue moonlight encourages you to slow down, and it communicates that this is not a time to be afraid. The way this memorial is presented as an immersive 3D stroll-playing game has the potential to be much more effective at evoking empathy and emotion than, say, standing in front of a wall with names carved into it. The combination of music and the environment and the lighting effects helps you connect to an event that you might have otherwise forgotten. It reminds us that while these lives were lost due to unfortunate circumstances, when we take the time to think about them, when we hold their belongings in our hands and listen to their stories, when we open up room in our heads and our hearts to reflect on the lives they once lived, we're taking it upon ourselves to make sure they won't be forgotten. With 9.03 magnitude, you're looking at a 15 to 20 minute guided reflection of the lives lost in the Tohoku tsunami. Not just as a statistic, but as individuals with lives and stories and objects to help us remember them. And because we take the time to remember them, they won't ever be entirely gone. Whew, boy, that was a heavy one, huh? I had to find someone to hug and tell them I love them when I was done playing, so I don't know, maybe that'll help you too. If you want to experience 9.03 magnitude for yourself, it is free to play. I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, I would be so grateful if you shared this around the various social medias. That would be super cool of you. Special thanks to these fine folks here who are helping me feed my cats by giving me money. And if you, esteemed viewer, would like to be rid of some of your money, you can slide on over to my Patreon if you like. If not, well, come hang out with me on Twitch, where I am rich in friendship. Bye!